excited to have you here again. We are talking with some heavy hitters today, and especially Mr. Clint. He has been...
Mr. Clint. My name is Mr. Clint today. That's what I'm going by today, Mr. Clint. And also, I'd like to make note that if you notice the hem in her skirt, we've been trying to fix it the whole time, so don't mind it. All right? We're just going with the flow, guys.
Appreciate y'all. Thank you. Thank you for the service announcement.
Okay, cool.
I love it.
All right, Clinton Sparks is my name, by the way, guys. Get familiar.
Oh, goodness. So one of the things that I love about you, because I met you recently with David Meltzer, but one of the things I love about you is that you keep it real. And before we go into your backstory, like one of the things that really I appreciated about you is you warned him about people who not to be in business with. And I wonder, like, what are some things that you look for when you think about who to partner with and who not to?
How they treat other people. Because sometimes if you're, let's say someone's a powerful figure, right, or successful, if I'm going to get in business with them, the success comes secondary to how they treat other people, whether that's employees or partners. And if they treat everybody the same, I don't want them to be like, oh, well, he doesn't matter, so I'm going to treat him worse. He matters and can do something, so I'm going to treat him better. That would make me not want to work with you. Yeah. Because I treat everybody, whether you're the CEO or the janitor, the same, because we're all people. We all just want to be loved. We all want to hug. We all want to be heard, right? So everybody, in my opinion, everybody has importance. And I don't gauge it by the level of your job of success. Because anybody in this room or anybody watching right now has valuable information. You know what I mean? Or has something to offer if you just listen. But if you already judge them by the level of their success, then that's a disservice to yourself.
And when you talk about how everybody matters, you were also talking to me earlier about how diversity matters to you. Have you always been like that since a little kid?
Yeah. I mean, I didn't know anything different. So I grew up, I was always too white for the black kids and too black for the white kids, if that makes sense growing up. Yeah. So I didn't grow up in good neighborhoods, and I was pretty much always the only white kid in my neighborhood growing up. And yeah, I didn't know any different. You know, I used to get in trouble with the police and get arrested. Like, and my mom would have to get me from the police station all the time. And yeah, I was a pretty bad criminal
boy.
when I was but the good thing about that is I learned how to I learned the psychology of people. Because if you're going to rob somebody, you got to be able to size them up, right? And you got to know, what can I get over on this person? Also, being the only white kid in certain black schools, when I walk in, I got to size everybody up because they're going to be snapping on me right away. So I got to, your teeth are fucked up, your sneakers are whack, you got a shitty haircut, right? So I already have to know everything that's going on around me, right? So that's what helped me with business as I grew up and started understanding people. And when I changed from doing bad things to survive, by the way, it wasn't because it was cool. I wanted to go buy some, some jewelry. Like, it was like, yo, I need to eat. You know what I mean? So not that that's any better, but I just want to put that out there because, a lot of people just do this. They want extra shit. You know what I mean? It's like, nah, I just wanted the basic shit. But yeah, so growing up, well, to answer your question, I mean, look, I built a whole career off of black culture, right? Hip hop. So I don't know anything other than diversity. Like I said to you, I feel uncomfortable being around no diversity. It feels weird to me. You know what I mean? I remember when I was getting arrested and my mom was like, you're going to live with your dad in the suburbs, right? And I remember the neighborhood that I went to was primarily a Jewish neighborhood. And I remember like, this is how families live? What? The dad has a job and the mom takes him to football practice and like they all live in the home together. Like I wasn't familiar with that life. Yeah. Because I had a single mom. My dad was an alcoholic and left us, and pretty much everybody else around me was in the same predicament. So, yeah, it's always like that to me.
I grew up, and this is, we'll get to like your business career, but just your story. So I grew up with a single mom too. It was three generations.
Shout out Teri.
Hey, go Big Teri.
All right, TM.
It was my mom and my grandmother, three generations of us. Yeah. So how did having a single mom impact your life, you think?
For the good or the bad?
Both.
Well, that's a tough question because...
You gotta keep it real.
So my mom, no, I always keep it. So my mom was an awesome mom in the sense of like working hard, making sure we had food, making sure like our Christmases looked like we were rich, right? Even though we weren't at all. Always had dinner on the table. But I was sexually abused for 4 years under my mother's watch by one of her friends. So I've had a tough time as an adult deciding where my mother lives in my heart, if that makes sense. I've been conflicted with, I'm supposed to love her and I'm supposed to be the man of the family, but then I've also been like, yeah, but you let that shit happen. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So like, that's been an impact, a big impact in my life that has helped me be more empathetic, mindful, caring, and probably one of the reasons why I love people so much, because I never want anybody to go through or feel what I felt. So if I can be the reason that people feel better or happy, I'll go out of my way and do great lengths to help other people feel better.
You know, we were talking to one of my friends, and his daughter actually had a eating disorder because of issue with her mom. So I would love for you, can you talk into this camera real quick? If there's any other kids out there that are feeling like their mom, like, kind of left them hanging, what would you say to them?
I'm like regretting even saying this like a minute after saying it, because I've never said this out loud, what I just said about my mom. Mm-hmm. Like, even if my mom sees this, she may even be like, I didn't know he felt that way. She obviously knows I feel something because we've had stuff throughout the years, but I've never like outlined it the way I just did now. Man, you want me to say to a kid what to say?
Or just, what would you share with them to help them get through this season?
That it's not your fault. People spend the rest of their lives looking for answers that they'll probably never get. And they worry about things that were not their fault. So, you know, I hear people all the time who carry trauma or misery along with them throughout their life. And one of the lines I hear from people is, it's going to be a long journey to healing. Or there's a lot of work to get to a better place. And in my opinion, in the way that I've excelled was realizing it's not a long journey. It's merely a decision that only you can make. And once you decide that this is not my fault, I'm not going to hold on to this, and I'm not going to keep seeking answers, you're going to your whole life will change for the better, and you'll be able to fly because you won't be carrying around this baggage anymore of stuff that was not your fault.
Thank you. Okay. Yeah, that was great. Right. I honestly feel like you just freed some people right there.
I hope so. Like I never talked about being a criminal or being sexually abused until 2014, 15. And the reason, and look, I came up in hip hop. If I talked about the people I stuck up and the houses I robbed, I probably would have got stripes. You know what I mean? Like, oh, this dude's real. But to me, that was real whack. Right? And I didn't want to use that as an entry point of let's accept him because he did some whack shit. I also never wanted a kid to say, well, look at Clinton Sparks. He's doing all right. And he used to be a fuck up. Right? So I used to really hide that. And it wasn't until 2014 when I was asked by Deutsch Worldwide, which is a company, a marketing firm. Okay. Donnie Deutsch, I'm sure you've heard of him. Mm-hmm. They did a deal with Galderma, which was like acne like medicine. And they were doing an anti-bullying campaign. So they asked me to write and produce the song. So part of the process of writing the song was they were going to have kids send in letters. And I would write the song based off those letters. Oh, wow. And I was like getting emotional reading I'm thinking about them now, reading these letters. And I thought for the first time, maybe it will help some other kids that do see my success. If I say, I went through this too, and look what I'm doing now, like I'm okay. So we did that record, and that was the first time I acknowledged it. And the song, it's like over 60 million streams on Spotify right now, the song that I wrote. So it's called I'm Good, and the band is called the Mowglis. Yeah. That I did it for, and it was an award-winning campaign. But I think, I got an outpour of people that, were kind of communicating to this day. I mean, I get people that DM me and hit me all the time telling me their stories, and I can connect and I can relate. So if I can give them a little bit of information, and I see time and time again that people see me being okay, right? And I am. This isn't an act.
Yeah.
I'm not one of those people that are on camera and behind the scenes. I'm like, but this happened to me. I'm never like that.
Yeah.
I've never needed therapy, because I realized at a young age, like, this isn't my fault. It's that dude's fault. I don't have a problem. The guy that did that to me has a problem. He's the one that should carry around this burden, not me.
That's good.
Right? So if people look at it that way, they'll be able to like relinquish, this from themselves, and just like wipe themselves clean of it and be like, all right, time to have an awesome life. Why am I going to live a nightmare over and over again that I didn't create? It's not my fault. It's one thing if like you killed somebody, you're reliving the moment you killed somebody.
Right, you did it.
Then I can see why you keep reliving that, because you killed somebody and you affected a lot of people. But somebody else did something wrong, not you. Keep it moving. Enjoy the rest of your life. Don't live in that moment that you didn't cause that was bad.
I love that. You know what? I'm actually surprised. I'm surprised that you didn't use your, your arrest as street cred. Like, you didn't tell anybody.
You know what I used?
What?
My dope.
Wait. Dope as in drugs dope?
No.
Oh.
My dope skills, my dope talent, my dope ability to communicate, my dope ability to follow up, my dope ability to tell the truth, my dope ability to mean what I say what I mean, keep it real.
Yeah.
My dope ability to outgrind and outwork everybody else. That was the dope. That's what I wanted people to, my dope skill and talent on making music and making mixtapes. I wanted you to judge me off of that, not anything else. That's why I didn't even show my face. You didn't even know who I was. I was already murdering the streets on my mixtapes, and everybody in the hood was rocking my mixtapes and didn't know who I was.
They didn't know.
They just knew Clinton Sparks, get familiar. And then I remember the very first time, and at that point I was already like certified. And I remember the first time I put my face on a cover of a mixtape, and I had the audacity to put it on with like Mobb Deep and Lloyd Banks and a couple other people. And I remember the distributor that would distribute all my mixtapes throughout New York calls me. He's like, bro, you got to take your big white face off the cover of this mixtape. And I was like, why? And he was like, yo, all these shops are like, yo, Clint Sparks is a white dude. We've been banging this white dude this whole time.
Oh, no.
And I was like, hey, man, tell him to get familiar, because I'm not taking it off.
Is that where that came from?
I was already saying get familiar,
Okay.
but I would just use my own line because it's dope. Right? So, but yeah, I came up with Get Familiar in 2000 when I first got on the radio. I was like, what can I do to be separate or different from everybody else? Because at that time, everybody wanted to be Funkmaster Flex. They all wanted to drop bombs. They wanted to be as cool or cooler than the people that they were interviewing. So I'm like, what can I do that's different that nobody else would even think about doing?
Yeah.
And I just kept writing down stuff. I'm like, I'm a brand. So it's the in thing now to call yourself a brand.
Right.
But I've been calling myself a brand since 2000. Everybody hated on me.
Well, that's a long
Didn't
time.
make any sense. They were like, everybody was like, you a brand. Come on, what you talking about? You a brand. And I'm like, I'm looking at Nike, Just Do It. Like all these brand names with handles and taglines. So I was like, yo, I'm going to be a brand. Clinton Sparks, Get Familiar. In the first 10 years of my career, people like laughed and would scoff at me calling myself a brand. And it took 10, 15 years for everybody to catch up.
Now everyone's a brand.
But to be honest, I'm always ahead of the curve. And I'm not saying that to flex. It's a gift and a curse. Because I always can see, I can forecast trends and see what's next. And I'm always trying to convince the industry this is next. And they don't get it. And then 2, 3, 4 years later, they get it. And I've moved on to something else.
Yeah.
So, it's a gift and a curse, because if they all got it, then I'd be the inventor and godfather of so many different things.
Tell me a couple things where you were ahead of the curve.
From the internet, from putting tags on your beats. Clinton Sparks at the beginning of your beat. Nobody was putting their name on the front of their beats.
Yeah.
Like everyone does it now, right? It's just normal. I invented how mix shows on radio sound, where you hear like all types of sound effects and your name punching through it. Mixing EDM with hip hop. I remember I went to Steve Aoki one time, and because I had like Rick Ross or Big Sean, I put him on hip hop. So what happened was, I discovered and signed DJ Snake. Do you know who that is?
I've heard his name.
Turn Down for What? Let Me Love You. All those records. So I found him in Paris, signed him to me, and then we made a bunch of records together. And I introduced him to Little John. We made that record, right? So going over to Paris, I would hear music that you weren't hearing here. And then working with A.R.T and being a traveling DJ around the world myself, you would hear music everywhere else that wasn't happening here.
Yeah.
So one time I said to A.R.T, I go, yo, what music do we hear everywhere in the world except here? And he's like, what? I'm like, doof, doof, doof,
Yeah?
doof, doof. He's like, yeah, you're right. I was like, you're the only urban international artist that can bring that sound back here, right? So like, he was like, oh yeah, maybe you're right. And I'll earmark that, I'll come back, right? So then I went to Steve Aoki. So I would hear this music that's like, and I'd slow it down like, D block, and I'd put rappers on it.
Yeah.
And at that time I was on Shade 45, so like M and Paul and them would hear it and be like, man, what the fuck are you playing, right? And I'm like, nah, this shit is dope. And I remember going to Steve Aoki, he's like, yo, listen to this.
Yeah.
And he was like, damn, man, I look at you to see what's hot in hip hop. I'm like, this is what's gonna be next that's hot in hip hop, bro. And that's, I can keep going on, but those are examples. I remember, so Akon, after I said that to him, he calls and he goes, you know who David Guetta is? I was like, yeah. He goes, he wants me to go to the studio with him. I was like, you should hang up with me and go to the studio with David Guetta. So he laughs and he hangs up. He goes and he calls me back. I don't know if it's a couple days later, a week, whatever.
Yeah.
But he's like, yo, I'm going to send you a record. Listen to it. Let me know what you think. So I played it. It's like, bum, 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 damn, girl. And I was like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, Akon. I was like, and I'm running around on the phone with him. I'm like, this is going to be a hit. This is going to change everything. It's going to change radio. It's going to change the clubs. It's going to change your life. Yeah. And he's laughing because he's thinking I'm exaggerating and I'm just putting a lot on top of it. And I'm like, no, dude. This is gonna change everything. And it did. That record was the reason why hip hop didn't matter for like 5 years. And the whole radio was like EDM and Black Eyed Peas and Chris Brown and all those EDM DJs. So, I mean, I can keep going on.
I remember. So what does it feel like? Because I was watching Kanye's documentary recently, and like he has this great song, but nobody's heard it yet. So you've been in that place too. Like, what does it feel like when you know that you have a hit, but no one's heard it yet?
Well, in my case, a hit would be a song, an idea, a new business, because I got hits all day. For all those categories. So at the same time, so I knew Kanye back then. So at the same time, he was doing that, saying, look at how dope I rap.
Yeah.
I was doing that. If you watch that, you could just take him out and put me in. I was doing the same thing, running in Rockefeller, Def Jam, Interscope, all these buildings, driving from Boston, shoveling snow to make enough money to pay for gas, to drive to New York, to stand in front of buildings and wait for executives to come and say, give me 5 minutes of your time.
Yeah.
Right? So that would happen at first. And then when I became a DJ, which I could tell you that story, how that happened, which was never my goal. It just worked out. But then when I started being able to run into these buildings, I'm running into like presidents and founders and CEOs buildings like, I got a dope idea. This is what you guys should do. Yeah. So the same way I was accepted because of who I was, but still dismissed because they looked at me as a DJ. Like they looked at Kanye as a producer. They were like, they're just giving them like the courtesy listen, like, oh yeah, oh word, hello?
Right.
Like in the same,
like, okay, got a meeting.
As I'm watching him, I'm like, man, at the same time, even when we were cool, I didn't know we were going through the same exact thing where people are almost dismissing you and neglecting how dope you really are because they put you in a box of Clinton's a DJ, Kanye's a producer. We don't believe he's a rapper. We don't believe he's an executive that has ideas that can change the game for us. Yeah. And we both went on and went to go do that.
How do you, for the people that are watching, because I feel like this is so important, like how do you push through when you feel like people are dismissing you or looking past you?
Honestly, like, it's just my operating system, right? It's the way that I was built. I've had a different childhood than other people, so I went through different traumas and adversities, so it probably shaped me to almost naively believe I couldn't lose. You know what I mean? So I never thought, what if it doesn't work? What if they don't like me? I've never thought like that. I make a plan.
You just keep going.
And I do it till it works, because it's going to work. And that's how I think. And I know it sounds a little cliche or even sounds pompous, but like I haven't made a goal in my entire life that I haven't accomplished, ever. Whether it was a girl that I wanted or a business I wanted to start, it's just never not. I want to write a book, wrote a book. I want to move here, move there. I want to buy a house, I moved. That's just how I operate. So one of the things I'll say about that too is it doesn't happen by luck. I don't hope for it. I don't wish for it. And I don't ask for favors. I make a plan. Here's what I want to do. How am I going to realistically make that happen? And then I make a plan with milestones that I can celebrate. Because here's a big problem that people do. They say, oh, I want to do this. And most people have really lofty goals.
Yep.
And every day that they don't achieve that goal, they feel deflated or that it's not working. Because you made such an unrealistic goal that you're not filling yourself up with gas of excitement that you're making the path to get there. All you're looking at is like, I didn't do that thing today. Yeah. I suck. Right?
But you're
but
making
if you look, a ladder has steps, right? To get to the top, it's each step. And that's the same thing with a plan or your life goals. So every day, if my goal is like, I want to buy $1 million home, cool, great plan. How are you going to do that? Well, I got to make money. Great. How am I going to make the money? I got certain skills. Great. How do I put those skills to use? Yeah. I do this, and that. And then one of the chapters in my book, I talk about mastering art. Automatic resourceful thinking, right? You have to master art. Automatic resourceful thinking. What that means is we all have resources. We're just not noticing them, right? So like everybody in this room has a connection to something or somebody, right? But we don't think about it. I'm not thinking, oh, Teri's mom might know this person that can do art, who can do da-da-da. I'm not thinking that. I'm just thinking, I need a stellar artist. How do I find them? And every time I don't find them, I feel like I'm failing because I'm not mastering art. Look, you were a former vice principal of an elementary school, right? So I'm thinking maybe I'm making something education-wise. What do? Reach out to a friend that I know that had something to do with education. You know what I mean? And a lot of times you don't even turn over the rocks to find somebody. It could be the bus driver that you're in school that drives you to school every day, whose son might be an engineer at this company. You have to learn how to master your automatic resourceful thinking. When there's a problem, I don't think, oh shit, this went wrong. I never think that. I literally think, how do I fix it? Who can help me fix it? Who do I know that can help me fix it? Immediately. And I've just always been wired like that. So when something goes wrong, even at my pond broke today. Sorry, that was a subtle bar.
Right? But, I was like, wait, what? You have a pond?
I have a lofty waterfall going through my 2-acre property into a koi fish pond.
I love this.
But I worked really hard for that, right? But it broke while I was in the middle of a Zoom meeting, and I could see my waterfall stopped, right? So I immediately thought, who do I know that can go tend to that while I'm on this Zoom call? So I'm on the Zoom call like, yeah, guys, so the reason why this and that. And I'm thinking, and I don't know anybody. I don't have any friends that know how to handle waterfalls and ponds.
Somebody might know something,
But I got another friend that's a fisherman. So I reached out to him and I said, hey, first off, the first thing I thought, will my koi fish die? Yeah. Right, because they need air from the waterfall. So I made sure that no one gets hurt. That was my first order of business. Okay. Are the koi gonna get hurt? Right?
In my head, though,
protect everybody first.
What made you think koi? Did you see it in Japan or some trip? What made you decide you wanted a koi pond?
When I bought the house, it was there.
It was just there. Okay. Okay.
So I'm not bougie enough to be like, yeah, I'd like a koi pond built in my.
But I didn't want to interrupt you.
I need 17 koi fish. No, I was just like, this is cool.
But now you want to make sure they survive.
I'm just a lonely loser from Boston, Massachusetts that now works really hard and owns a koi pond.
Wow. I love this. There's so many things that you touched on though in your whole segment. Like one of the things of the milestones, someone actually told me that before. They were telling me Teri, you're not excited about what you're doing because you don't celebrate the wins. Is there someone or something that happened that made you start celebrating your milestones?
Yeah, so when I was homeless, I just got some saltines. Win. I just got some mustard packs to make a sandwich with those saltines. Win.
Really? Even then?
This guy just bought me a hot chocolate that I asked to get me a hot chocolate. Win. So I'm not like, it's not a steak. You know what I mean? I didn't get to... Every little victory was a win to me. So that's how I look at you, for instance. Every time you did your makeup, win, you look good, right? You booked a new person to be on your show, win, you booked somebody else. You got this whole crew set up here. You got this house. The podcast is when we're done talking, win. Go have some lamba that the chef is gonna make. That was an inside joke, guys. I know it's lamb. We're just wondering why B is at the end of lamb.
It's silent. Yeah.
But everything's a win. Your mom's here.
Win.
That's a win.
Yeah.
Who gets to hang out with their mom in this giant house in Bel Air, doing interviews with great people, building your network? You're winning all day long.
Yeah.
Right? So if at the end of this day you're upset because something else didn't happen, you're kind of whack. Because you won all day. And you're really going to get hung up on this one thing that your skirt, hem.
I know, right?
Like, would you get hung up on that? No, but you handle that good. You're like, who cares? They're just going to have to deal with it. And that's what it is. Because you're winning. You're in the middle of a win. You're not running down the field and no one's behind you with the football and you're thinking about what some jerk in the audience said and stops and throws the football. What? No. You're running to the end zone because that was your goal. You know what I'm saying? You don't stop your goals. So
I love that.
every single yard is another victory. Little victories.
Do you call that also gratefulness? Do you, like, some people subscribe to, like, every morning I wake up and I do, like, gratefulness. Do you do that too or no?
No, I'm not overly religious or spiritual. I am grateful and I am aware that I'm blessed. But I give credit to me. Because it was me that was dealt a bad hand. It was me that was in a pile of shit. It was me that had to deal with adversity. It was me that, had a shitty start. And I got myself out of it. I thought about how I'm going to get out of it. I put the energy and the effort. I continued to get back up when I was knocked down.
Yeah.
And I don't think people celebrate themselves enough. And look, I respect everybody what they do. When someone says, thanks to them, thanks to this, thanks to God, thanks to that, it's like, I don't mean to get too Kanye-ish, but you're a God. Do you know what I'm saying? She's a God, she's a God, he's a God. Everyone's a God, in my opinion. Because to me, God is love.
Yeah.
And if you have self-love and you're pushing through love and you love everybody else, you're winning.
Yeah.
So thank yourself more often.
I will take that advice. Like, I definitely believe in God, but at the same time, I agree. Sometimes we don't celebrate ourselves enough.
Little victories.
We don't celebrate, like, the things that we've done. Yeah. That's good. And then, okay, so continuing on in the journey, so we talked about when you were younger, we talked about getting arrested. We didn't quite close the gap, though, between, like, when you talked about your DJ story that you would tell us later, but when did you actually, when did the door open? Because you were saying you were going from Boston, trying to get the doors to open. Like, when did the door finally open for you, and what was that like?
My success has been and still is a continuous series of achievements. So I never look at it like I made it or this was my big break. I always, I've never done that. So I've been asked this question a lot, like, what was your big break, right? And the big break for me to be successful in my career was a big break from my personal life. And one of those big breaks was, so I told you I got sent to my dad in the suburbs.
Yep.
And then when I was 18, me and my dad had the big father-son fight, like, F you, Dad, F you, Dad. And I remember saying, I'm going to be a way better dad than you are when I grow up. And he's like, we'll see. Life happens, this and that. So we walked out, and I was like, I'm never talking to that dude again. Because one of the reasons that happens, there's a lot to this. So, like, I might be saying things that's like, wow, what a dick, he doesn't talk to his dad. But there's a lot, like,
understand.
Yeah, everybody has reasons, right? And my dad, when my mom finally sent me to my dad, and he would say this one line that bothered me. And I asked him nicely, can you please stop saying that? And when I'd get in trouble living with him, he would say, I didn't raise you like that. And I'd be like, well, you didn't fucking raise me, man. Right? And, what do you think I'm doing now? And stuff like that. And, my father had his own issues in childhood, things that didn't allow him to be the dad that, I needed him to be. And 3 years after we kind of had that fight and I wasn't talking to him anymore, I thought to myself, what happened to my dad when he was young that prevented him from being the father I needed him to be?
Yeah.
And when I cared enough to ask that question and then cared enough to research and find out all the traumatic things that he went through, which is his own personal business, but it like almost, like what I went through paled in comparison to what he went through. And my anger and resentment to him towards it turned into empathy.
Good. Okay.
And instead of being angry with him, now I went and I loved him and realized why he wasn't able to be the man I needed him to be. So that in that moment, I felt like I found one of the keys to life. You know, like empathy. When you can care about other people as much or more than yourself, that's a really big key to life of being able to just kind of move smoother. You know what I mean? So I went back to my father, and then we went on to become best friends from that point on.
Really?
We're not anymore. Me and my dad had we were best friends for like 20 years. And then, dude, if I tell you the story about my dad, it'll be this whole entire conversation. Put it this way, I watched the Michael Jackson documentary.
Okay.
And it was the first time I seen, now whether you believe it or not, that's not the point.
Yeah.
It was the first time I seen men my age talk about the same experience that I had. And it was, oh shit. Because I don't talk about it to people, you know what I mean? Like, I never talked to another dude that went through stuff like that. And hearing that, it's like, you have to go through something like that to know these little things.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I was like, oh my God. I'm still indifferent about the subject at hand. But still. And then, so I had talked to my dad. All right, this will tie back to the story about the song that I created for the anti-bullying campaign.
Yeah.
So I had so I call my dad, we talk about it, we blow up about it, talk for an hour, I'm like, all right, see you later, dude. The next day, it was like a 2-part series, the Michael Jackson thing. I watched the next day, and these guys are talking about their broken relationship with their moms. I'm like, oh my God, like that's what I've been going through. I've never heard anybody talk about this. So then, like, and by the way, I don't even cry over this. Like, this is the first time I had to stop the documentary twice because I got so emotional. And I don't get emotional over that, right? Mm-hmm. And so I call my dad the second night, and he answers the phone, what, Clinton? And whenever he answers like that, I know, like, he's not in a good mood. So I go, what's wrong? Why are you answering like that? He's like, what's up? And I go, why are you talking like that? He goes, I'm sick and tired of coming between you and your mother and you and your sister. I'm like, I don't even know what you're talking about. What are you talking? Then he's like, why do you have to fucking post things on the internet about being molested? And now pause. A week earlier, I just found out that record I produced had like 50 million streams on Spotify. I didn't even know. So I got a plaque. And I had posted on social media, when I was young, I was sexually abused. So I had posted that post on the internet, and because I was excited. And then, so it just so happened that my mom and sister seen it that day. So coincidentally, as I'm watching this documentary, talking to my dad, they see that, call him to complain, and so he gets mad. So he says to me, if I pay for a polygraph test, will you take it? So as you can imagine, being a victim, how that would feel, right? And it's the reason why people don't tell what happened to them, because no one believes them.
Yeah.
So I was like, are you fucking kidding me? By the way, can I swear? Is it okay that
It's
I'm swearing?
fine. Be yourself. Yeah, you're fine.
I'm like, are you kidding me? And I was like, you're fucking dead to me, right? All you guys are. By the way, I've never said anything mean like that to my family ever before. But that was just like,
it hurts, right? Yeah, it hurts.
And even though I say it's not something I live with and discuss or it bothers me, it's also a part of the makeup of you. So it's a part of you. You can't completely delete it from you, right? It's just not something that controls you, right? So I immediately, like 30 seconds after hanging up, I thought to myself, I don't want to happen what happened when I was 18 with my dad. He's my best friend. I love him. I don't want to fall out. I call him right back. I say, look, Dad, I didn't mean what I just said. I was really hurt and angry, and I'm sorry for saying that. I love you. You're my best friend. I don't want to be at odds with you. And And then we talked about it some more. And then we ended up having like a 2-hour conversation. I thought things were going to be great between us.
Yeah.
And then fast forward later, he calls me one day and just says, I've been doing some self-inventory. And I'm like, oh yeah? What's that? And he goes, I've been thinking about like, if I can forgive this person, which it was a person that like murdered his brother, and I can forgive this person, which was his ex-wife that cheated on him and got herpes, then I can forgive you. And inside I'm thinking, the fuck?
Right.
I'm in the same
I'm on
category
the same
as these
list
guys.
as them.
Right?
What?
But I'm like, some people just need to get things off their chest. I'm self-aware enough. One, I don't need to feel a certain way, right? So I'm thinking, what the fuck? But I'm like, oh yeah? And I'm letting him talk. So he talks for like, whatever, 15, 20 minutes. And he goes, what do you think about that? And I'm like, Dad, if it sounds like it's something that you need to get off your chest, and I'm happy that we were able to have this conversation, and you could say the things you wanted to say, and this is now we can move forward. And he goes, yeah, but what do you think? Didn't you say I keep it real?
Yeah.
So he asked me, what do you think? I'm like, all right, man, if you're going to fucking push me. And I'm like, I don't know what the fuck you're forgiving me for. And he goes, you don't know what I'm forgiving you for? I'm like, no. And he goes, how about when you said you're fucking dead to me? And I was like, dude, I already apologized and told you I didn't mean that.
Yeah.
And by the way, see how you feel by me saying that? That's how I felt when you asked me to take a polygraph test. So put yourself in my shoes. Stop being so fucking selfish one time. Mm-hmm. So we had that call with button heads again, and then again it simmered, it tapered down, and it got cool. We hung up, and then he broke up with me on text a few weeks later, saying, I had a conversation with my therapist in the VA and said you're not good to be in my life. Respect my decision. I can't have you in my life anymore. So for the second time in my life, my dad abandoned me. This time by text. And that shows that we've made it to the digital world, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, who like drops their son by text?
By text.
I didn't even respond. I'm just like, whatever, man.
Was that a long time ago or recent?
It was like 3 years ago.
Okay.
It was like, yeah.
Do you think that you ever try to read?
Nah.
Just let that go?
Nah. And this is another thing too, man, you hear things like families for life. Not if they're tearing you down. Not if they're bad for your well-being. Not if they're destroying your happiness. Mm-hmm. Your job in life is to defend happy. You need to find what makes you happy, make that a reality, and then defend it. Yeah. You must create boundaries for your happiness. And I think a lot of families are the reasons why people are not happy. Whether they don't agree with decisions you make, whether they doubt you in certain things, whether they're just not enlightened or intelligent people and you are, and they're jealous of you. A lot of people are broken from their homes, from their families. So why are you holding on to the very thing that's been breaking you? I personally don't believe family is forever. However, I do believe that building a loving, strong family can be the most powerful foundation to having an incredible life. Yeah. So I've built the family that I've always wanted.
I was going to ask you about that because I even remember at the dinner we talked about I think it was, not to go into your business, but
have we not gone deep enough into my business already? Are we slowing down now?
But you had, at dinner, you were talking about something with, and I didn't get to hear the whole story, but it was something with your son, and I don't know, if it was an ex-wife. Do you remember this conversation?
Vaguely. I have an ex-wife. I have a son that was with that ex-wife.
Okay.
I don't remember the conversation though, but
okay. But the thought was
it was a tumultuous divorce.
Yeah.
And I had to fight for custody. Yeah.
How have you now worked on making sure that your family is great, especially giving all the things that you saw growing up?
I built it by design, right? And that's how I've built my life, by design. A lot of people, and without them even knowing it or not, they run through life just kind of like, right? And maybe they luck up, maybe they meet somebody, maybe they don't, and then they get mad and they blame things, they blame circumstances. And I was built by design, not by circumstance. And I continually do that. For example, because you may say, what does that mean, Clinton Sparks? Or Mr. Clint? I'll give you a perfect example. When I was young, the world gives you the answers. If you just listen, the answers are there. You're just looking in the wrong places. The world's giving them to you. You want to know how to treat a woman? Listen to women. You want to know what they don't want? Listen to women. You want to know what kind of man they want for a father? Listen to women. It's not hard to listen to what people want.
Yeah.
So when I was young, I would study, when I would listen to my mom and other women talk about, I don't like this, or he does this. I'm like, okay, so I shouldn't be that way. I should be more of this. I should do, and I developed myself to be the man that seems to be the kind of man women would want.
Okay.
Right? So, and I'm not perfect, but I work my ass off to study and get information to see how to be as close to great as possible. And I do the same thing as a DJ. I did the same thing as a business guy. What do people hate about a boss? What do they hate about a leader? What's a whack DJ? What do people in the crowd get mad at with a DJ? Like, all you got to do is look at the answers. The answers are being thrown at you every day.
Yeah.
Pay attention. And that's what people are so stuck in their own head, in their own world, that if people listened as much as they wanted to be heard, they would hear how to be listened to. Right? But they don't. And that's one of the biggest problems in life, is everyone's just like, they're worrying about themselves. Me, how I feel, what I'm gonna get, what's the win for me. One example I'll give is, we all go through life looking for things that are good for us, right? Let's think about a job, let's think about a relationship. And you'll sit there and be like, I'll just use you for example.
Yeah.
I want a guy that has a good job. He's 6'3". He's got his own money. He's got a sense of humor. He's got this, and that, right? He doesn't have no kids. Like, whatever the criteria is to fit what would be the perfect thing for you. How often do you sit there and say, but am I the perfect thing for them?
Right, that part.
Nobody does that, because they're selfish. And that's why things don't work.
Yeah.
Whether it's business or a relationship or even just communicating with people, you're too focused on what you want, what you need, what you like, what's good for you. If you stop and care, like I said, care about other people as much as yourself. I've never done a deal in my entire life that they didn't win as much or more than me. So much so that my lawyer has yelled at me in the past for deals that I've done, because he's like, why are you giving them 50%? Because I couldn't do it without them. Yeah, but you've done all these things. Doesn't matter. I don't care how insignificant, I still couldn't have done it without them. So it's 50-50.
Yeah.
And that's what it is in relationships. If you keep having the same argument with your girl or your man, and you're looking at them like, why do you keep doing this? Why do you keep saying, if you would just do this?
Yeah.
Right? It's like, at what point are you like, you're the donkey? You know what I'm saying? You keep having the same fight. If you want to be a good leader, and you want to lead your family, you want to lead your business, stop pointing the finger and blaming and expecting other people to change.
Yeah.
You need to be the one that changes. If me and you are in a relationship together, and I know how you receive me when I talk to you, I know how you're going to take things the way that I say them, and I know how you're going to get emotionally involved in this argument because of the way that I said things. So then change. Don't say it that way next time. You know what I'm saying?
Do it different,
And it's like, people are always pointing at other people for the bad and the wrong, and only caring about themselves for the good, and what I'm contributing, that's awesome. I'm super self-aware, and if I'm arguing with somebody, I will literally stop and slow. It's like the Matrix. I could be arguing with you, you're yelling in real time, I'm hearing you in slow motion. And I'm taking in, this is what I did wrong. This is why she's acting this way. If I could just change this, it would change her feelings right now. And that's because of how I grew up.
That's good.
So I can do things in slow, I hear everything that's going on, everything you're thinking, how you're feeling. I can already predict 3 steps ahead of this conversation what you're gonna say based off what I just said.
Yeah.
But that comes from, I'm not saying to say I'm a Superman, I'm saying that I've developed these skills by caring
Right.
about other people.
Yep.
It's
Yep.
one of the keys to life. If you care, then I'm going to sit and understand you more. I'm going to listen to you more. I'm going to know how you operate, what bothers you, what makes you happy. And then I can I can control you basically because I know all
you
these
care,
things.
right, and
I
you
just use it for
understand.
good.
Yep.
But it's the way that people are able to manipulate other people because they
Yes.
care and they pay attention. It's why mediums can say, I'm feeling like it's somebody whose name starts with an S, and they
I
start
remember us
filling it
talking
out.
about that. You were
Yeah.
like, in an auditorium, everybody will just look up if they start, you know.
Right.
if it
Somebody
says-
wants you to find someone that passed away. So they're going to be like, oh, I had an aunt with an S. And then, oh, there's my victim. You know what I mean? I'm just going to start picking away. But yeah.
But you know what? I did that in business too.
Mm-hmm.
Like they talk about making sure that you're able to, well, you know, the 5 love languages book, like being able to love people the way they want to be loved.
yep.
And then also just there's different ways that people receive things. So understanding them better
Yep.
will help you have a better relationship. It makes a lot of sense, but I don't think a lot of people do it.
No, most people don't.
Yeah.
Most people refuse to do it. They're stubborn.
See. Well, I know we're getting closer on time, and I want to respect
I'm waiting
your
to hear
time.
this question that you had in the pocket that you were like, yo, I got a question for you that nobody asked. Let's hear that question.
Well, that was the question. I kind of skipped over it because I was like, no, that's too much. I don't want to say it. Well, actually,
We talked about a lot of life.
we did. We did.
We talk about life. Hopefully, but here's the thing. Here's how we can like wrap up the life part.
Yeah.
All of these life things I talked about in the antidotes and the strategies of, taking life examples, all come into play to being a great leader,
Yeah.
to being a great entrepreneur, to being a great partner, right? If you don't understand life, there's no way you can understand how to have a successful business. If you don't understand people, how to communicate, there's no way you can build a successful business. And I see people fail left and right, in every
Yeah.
single business that I've been a part of, whether it's music or tech or gaming or whatever it is. I see people that are jerks get ran out. Now, someone could watch this and say, I know a lot of assholes that are successful, right?
We all do.
We all know that, right? And it sucks, right? But those that are beloved and recognized and go down in history as legends were good people, that are great people, right? And look, like the saying goes, a broken clock's right twice a day, right? So even an asshole can get lucky, you know what I mean? But you take these life skills and apply them to business.
Yeah.
You're going. That's
great.
been the nucleus of my success, has been my personality and my ability to communicate, my ability to sell, my passion, and being honest and authentic.
Yeah.
Pitbull said to me one day, Clinton can sell water to a fish, right? And everyone in the room laughed. And most people take that as a compliment, as being a good salesman. But I've always looked at, if you feel triumphant or like you've won because you've convinced somebody to buy something or invest in something that didn't have maximum impact or wasn't of extreme value for them, that doesn't make you a great salesman. It makes you a con artist.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't want to sell water to a fish because they don't need water.
They already got water.
It makes no sense. Like I wouldn't sell something to somebody else if they didn't need it.
Yeah.
And you want to know how I know they'll need it? Because I cared enough to do research to see what in fact it is that they need, most of the times that they don't even know that they need. And that's how I win.
So we've talked a lot about family, and I'm wondering from you, like, what do you do when you're working really hard, but then your family is falling apart?
Good question, Teri. You work hard to fix the things that are making your family fall apart. And it doesn't necessarily mean you got to put it back together, but help those pieces fall gracefully in a better position than they were, than what made them fall apart in the first place. So in my case, in my past relationship, if my family was falling apart, me and my wife were falling apart, for whatever reason that is, my duty now to make it work is to make sure that my son isn't affected negatively. So now it's my time to put the work in to protect him from that, which I did. And now everybody's great.
That's good.
You know what I mean? So, everything requires work, whether it's family, business, health, mindfulness, or a business. you have to put the work in, man.
Yeah.
Right? And equally. You can't like do a little bit over here and a lot over there and expect them all to rise the same. You have to put the same work into your family, into your relationship as you would into your business. So whether you're a rapper or you're an entrepreneur and you're like, yo, I'm in the studio, I'm trying to get this going, and your son and your wife are over here missing you, as much passion as you're putting into getting these records done, you got to put that same passion in to making sure your son knows you're present. Your wife knows that you love her and you're giving her the same time.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And you do know about putting in work with businesses. Like you have your book.
Yep.
So tell us about some of the businesses that you've been a part of and what you're excited about right now.
Oh, man. So I started my first e-commerce website in 2004. It was called mixunit.com. It was like the world's biggest mixtape site. I made $5 million the first year. That's how big. And you know, businesses don't make money first year. And I've done a bunch of businesses throughout that. But the ones that I'm excited about right now that are really changing the culture in business is Exit. So I own the world's fastest growing esports and gaming lifestyle brand.
That's so cool.
Yeah, we brought everybody in from Ozuna to Sway Lee, Ezekiel Elliott, T Grizzly, Quality Control Music. And I know there's a lot of people watching right now that probably don't understand the difference between esports and gaming. Hey guys, my name is Clinton Sparks, and I'm going to give you a tutorial of the difference between esports and gaming. You ready? Here we go. Rep the set. Esports is professional gaming. They're teams that actually play in professional leagues for prize pots. They practice, they have a coach, and they actually enter tournaments to win money, much like an NBA or an NFL. Gaming is the art of just playing games, whether it's Fortnite, Call of Duty, 2K, Madden, you're just a gamer. A gamer is not an esports player, but an esports player can be a gamer. So that's the difference. It's like an NBA player can play street ball, but a street ball player is not in the NBA. So that, ladies and gentlemen, is the difference between esports and gaming. My name is Clinton Sparks. Rep the set.
And you're focused on gaming, right?
Yeah, I'm focused. Well, we both. So we're dominating in the esports world.
Okay.
All of our teams are like top 3 in the North America in the world. So that segment's killer. Thanks to my partner, Marco Moreau, who's owning that. And then the gaming side was me and Will and Greg and Lonnie and Rob and Erin. My team over here, that's, we just did an exclusive deal with Dre's Las Vegas. So we'll have gaming tournaments there. We'll have, we have a bunch of cabanas that are all wrapped in Xset. So
I heard you talk about that.
Yeah, so it's really integrating gaming into culture and into music and into that lifestyle as well, which I've been doing for about 6 years now. I started at a company called FaZe Clan when they were a bunch of popular kids known for trick shooting and gaming, and they didn't have a business model or they weren't generating revenue really. So we all kind of went in there. We were day ones and built the company there that, they're all, now that's $1 billion company that's going public. And, I'm really grateful for my contribution there. I brought all the celebrity rappers from Offset to Pitbull, Sway Lee, Yo Gotti, DJ Paul, Ray J, Troy Carter.
You know everybody.
All these people, brought them into there. And then, me, Will, and Greg brought everybody from NFL to Bear Brick to Champion to Beats by Dre and all that, which really helped build the bridge from gaming into mainstream and connecting it to other things. Like, 6 years ago, you weren't thinking about gaming.
No,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I'm really proud to be part of one of the few people that intersected all these worlds together. And we're doing it now again with Xset, and we're building something even bigger than what we built before. And I'm really excited about that. That's one of my companies. Another company I have we have a venture-backed company where people like Jeff Bezos, Mark Zuckerberg, and Bill
some
Gates,
people, who knows them,
is backing this company. It's called Five. David Meltzer is also an investor there.
Teri Gioma. I mean, you forgot me, but
I
that's
don't know,
all right.
man.
No,
This is the last week to raise. So what that is we built a platform where experts can monetize their expertise 5 minutes at a time. Okay. No hassle, no schedule, no content to create, no team to manage it. It's just like texting, but now you get paid for it on your downtime, whenever you feel like it. It's asynchronous. Look at it this way. We built WhatsApp with a paywall and a stop clock, right? So now, like, whether you're in the back of an Uber, laying in bed during a commercial, during Housewives, or sitting on the toilet, you're responding, answering questions that people may have that ask you questions about, your teachable program.
Yeah.
There's people that want to learn from you. You need to be on 5.
I like it.
And you need to let people know to hit you instead of DMing you and giving out all this free game.
Right.
You need to
Come
get on 5,
I'll
start
be
getting
there
paid for all this game, get familiar. So those are the 2 things I'm really excited about. I also consult a company called Esports Technologies, which is a betting platform that's doing extremely well right now. And their ticker is, they went public, and their ticker is eBet. So if you want to invest in
that on public, well, I mean, we have a lot of investors because we trade in the stock market, so we might check that one out.
Yeah, definitely. And that's the thing too, man. One thing you can be sure about me, if I get involved with something, it's going to be dope.
Yeah.
Because I look at it from so many different angles, from a fiduciary to, everything to the streets. I know how to think like the streets, and I know how to think like the bankers.
Yeah.
And everything in between, the end user. So when I get involved with something and I'm passionate, excited about it, that it's dope because I thought of every single thing you're going to think about, why it would fail, why it will work, what problem it's solving, where it fits in the market, what it's doing better than those people are doing, why that failed and this won't fail. So that's really kind of my superpower, is understanding the psychology of everybody in the room.
Yeah.
So you could throw me in a room with JetBlue, Johnson & Johnson, HelloFresh, and Rick Ross, and they're going to be like, why are we all in this room together? And I'm the one that can say, you need to know this about them. You guys are doing that. You could do this. You need to do that. And then I can put the whole play together, package it up with a bow on it, and tell you, now here's a winning product.
Oh, wow. What? Okay.
It's the art of understanding everybody and then being able to communicate and then translate to each other. And that's what kind of been like one of the biggest reasons of my success, because I've always been the bridge between MTV and BET my whole career.
Right.
All right. So what'd you say? We should talk about my book, Teri? How to Win Big in the Music Business, forward written by Damon John of Shark Tank and FUBU. Yes, this is the modern day book that'll teach you how to build a scalable and sustainable business in the music business. But the principles and values that I show in my book, How to Win Big in the Music Business, are also transferable to any business, whether you want to be a gamer, a beautician, an influencer, or an entrepreneur. They're all transferable. It's just the principles of how to win, how to communicate, how to build a powerful network. It's all in here. So this isn't like, here's how you upload your song on Spotify. No, I'm teaching you the mentality of how to be a winner. And that's what this book is about. And the reason why I started with the music business, trust me, I wanted to write something bigger. Like my first book was going to be called The Art of Being Dope, right? But it was like, which I'm already writing that one now.
Okay.
But I knew that if people recognize me as a DJ and I just came out giving you like game on how to like really win and be successful, like, what's a DJ gonna teach me, right? So this, again, being self-aware, I knew that that's how I'd be perceived.
Right.
So I had to Trojan horse my way into giving you game through a music book that, hundreds of thousands of people want to know how to win big in the music business. There's never been a better time to make a career in the music business than now. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry for independent artists.
Tell us one tip in the book about how to win big in the music business.
Well, I gave you one, Mastering Art.
Yeah, Mastering Art.
Well, how about I tell you this? The first line in the book is killer. You ready?
I'm ready.
And I think a lot of people, even yourself included, can probably relate to this. The biggest mistake I've made throughout my career was thinking that people more successful than me must be better than me. They must be doing some magical shit I haven't figured out yet, or have some unattainable skill that I possibly couldn't possess. The reality is this is not true. So it's really setting you up your mindset, because a lot of people are like, I could never do that, or I could never get there, or why would I DM that guy? They'll never respond to me, or I don't have that money. And it's like, these are all excuses and roadblocks that you're making for yourself. And this book really will open up your mind to think different, not just in music, but even how to build better relationships with your personal life.
Which we've covered a lot today.
Yeah.
Personal life, how to build relationships, and then how to build a business. And
when
how
you
to
look
win.
at the back and you see things like Clinton sparks influences cultures by Diddy, that's a pretty big thing to say.
I mean,
or Pitbull saying Clinton doesn't have his finger on the pulse. He is the pulse. Hey, I didn't say it.
They said it. Okay, last thing. You said that this is random.
Wait, real quick.
Up.
By the way, the book is free.
Is it?
The book is free.
How do they get the book?
WinBigInMusic.com.
Okay, say that again.
WinBigInMusic.com, or follow me at Clinton Sparks, and the links are in my bio. You see why I give it for free?
I see.
Because I want people to win.
I love it.
So, well, you do got to pay for shipping and handling, though. So when someone's like, why they ask for my credit card? Because I ain't paying to ship it to you, too, dude. I'll write the book for free.
Great.
If you really care about your career, you're going to put $7 up to pay to ship it. Otherwise, you should probably quit because you're not taking your career serious. You ain't going to put $7 into your career, you ain't serious about building a career. I gave you 20 years of game that's going to change your life.
I think this is going to be a really good $7, guys. Like, real talk, please. Tell me again where to find it.
Well, just go to @ClintonSparks. All my socials are @ClintonSparks.
Okay.
And the links are in my bio, in my link tree.
$7, 20 years of experience. You guys already have heard Clinton, like, really does give all the best advice. So check out the book.
It's free. It's not $7. I don't know what camera you're looking at, but
it's free.
It's not $7, guys. It's free. The shipping is $7, all right?
It's free. Just pay for shipping and handling.
Right.
All right. Last question.
Yep.
You know how to put all the pieces together. So I want to know, like, from what you've met from me, like, what pieces would you put together? And then what new pieces are you putting together for yourself?
To be honest, I'm really happy with the me that I've built.
Yeah.
And I wake up every day, and this isn't a cliche, I look out my bedroom window at my 2 acres, and I say, holy shit, this is mine. And I know it's because I worked hard to get it, and I deserve it. And I didn't always think like that. It was a long time for me to realize and celebrate myself and, pat yourself on the back and be like, good fucking job, Clinton. You know what I mean? Like, and a lot of people don't do that. And I've learned to do that for myself. So I'm going to continue to make people happy. I'm going to continue to be an ambassador of happy. Yeah. I'm going to continue to teach and educate and help other people learn how to be happy and get out of their own way. And I'm going to continue to build and get behind businesses that are innovative and culturally disruptive that can change the future for the better.
I love it. Anything else you want to share with the audience?
No, I think we did. Is there really much more to share?
Yeah, we did good.
We talked about a lot. No, I mean, thank you for having me here. Thank you for allowing me to share my information with your audience. I really appreciate that. And even you, like, you may be looking, even someone like you're looking at this like you're building the business of you with this podcast. And you're probably so focused on like marketing it, buying ads, getting the right guests, making sure you look good on camera, doing all these things, and forgetting and neglecting what you're giving the world. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, you might think it's an interview. Oh, this is cool. I get to ask this person something. It's so much deeper than that, man. Like, you're changing lives. Like, even just this, if like one person just rose up and found their happiness because of me talking, it's because of you. You provided this moment for them. So you have to recognize your greatness and the greatness that you're giving out to the world.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
I'm so glad you came on, Clinton.
Yeah.
This is great.
I'm happy to be here, man. Let's go eat some lamb and catfish.
Yeah. Tell them where to find you. @ClintonSparks.
@ClintonSparks. ClintonSparks.com is my website, but all socials @ClintonSparks. And don't forget, follow @Exet.com. And if you're an expert, I know you talk to a lot of experts watching this, and you're looking to monetize your expertise or looking to just give back to other people or give back and donate to charities that you care about, then go to 5.me and set up your account and start giving out game. It's 5.me is the new platform I was talking about where experts can now monetize their expertise 5 minutes at a time. Get familiar.
Where Teri wants to be an investor.
Get familiar. And an expert.
Yes. Thank you.